Hello, I'm Taylor Darcy with Darcy Law, and today is Education Tuesday. So I've asked my clients some of the things that they would like to learn about. So today we're going to talk about contracts. We talked about it a little bit briefly before what a contract is. Simply, it's offer, acceptance, and consideration. That's a very simple, basic thing. Today we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about that. And why? Because at the foundation of almost everything, as we've talked about before, it is a contract. There are two main categories of contracts. There are contracts for goods and contracts for services. The Uniform Commercial Code, or UCC, is what governs the contracts for goods, and the common law is what governs the contracts for services. So there are certain provisions that are allowable in sales for goods that are not in service contracts. The one thing that is common to both of them is what's called good faith and fair dealing. In other words, you're entering the contract with the purpose of honoring your portion of the contract. So you can't just, blow into a contract and with the, and blow it off later. The point is that when you enter the contract, you're supposed to be doing it. If a contract is mixed, or if they have both services and goods implied in the contract, then you're looking at both. Whatever one is predominant will be the law that's going to dominate that. So that's important to know, that if it's majority service, then the common law applies. If it's majority goods, then the goods apply. The UCC applies. An offer creates a reasonable expectation that the offeree is offering to enter into the contract. There must be a promise, definite and certain terms, and it must be communicated to the offeree. An advertisement, for instance, is not actually considered an offer. There are certain conditions that it can meet that it could be considered an offer. It has to be specific to the quantity and clearly indicate who must accept. The exceptions are a unilateral offer, such as for a reward, or a price quote if sent in response to an inquiry. So these are all just some of the things. The definite and certain terms must be something that it must succinctly identify the offeree and definite subject matter. So it can't just be something vague. It can't be something that you're just throwing out there and hoping. It must be something that that is specific enough that, for instance, if you have 5 of something, you can't say you have 100 of something, or that there's nothing. So if you're making an offer, like for instance, a car advertisement, when you hear on the radio and they go through the terms that you can't possibly hear, and they said only 5 at this price. Well, that's why that they do that, is because it has to be specific. Now it's still an ad is more like a invitation to deal more than it is an actual offer, unless it is specific. And it must be clear that it's the people that they're asking for. So in other words, the car advertisement idea, they're specific in what they're offering, but they're not telling who can accept the offer. So they're leaving that pretty open to whatever person that is able to qualify for that offer. They don't say must be military, or they can, but they don't generally. They don't say must have, and I'm just using this as a stupid for instance, must have a 150 IQ, otherwise nobody would qualify. The point is that it has to be specific in who can accept the offer. For instance, it would be something like must accept the offer by 12 noon on September the 1st, the first 500 people, that type of thing. So today's, as we talk about contracts and go forward, keep in mind that As I mentioned before in my previous live, that you want to read your contract. That's probably the biggest thing I can tell you, the most important thing I can tell you. Don't assume that that the other person has your best interest. I reviewed a contract not long ago for someone that it was so one-sided in the favor of the drafter that it wasn't fair. I told the potential client, I said, I wouldn't recommend signing this, and because the terms were so one-sided. It was all in favor of the opposing party and not in favor of my possible client. Because of that reason, I hope, I don't know whether they took my advice or not, but the point is just that it's important that, if something doesn't seem fair, it probably isn't, and you shouldn't sign it. If there's something that you're uncomfortable with, or there's a term that you don't understand, don't sign it. It's better to not sign something and find somebody else who is willing to get terms that are reasonable than it is to waste your time and money on something that could end up in litigation later. Anyway, that's Education Tuesday. Hope you're having a great day, and I look forward to talking with you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments on the side. If you want to talk to me further, feel free to give me a call. I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.